Hey, good morning, everybody. It's the start of day 3, and I just want to say good morning. I apologize to a lot of you. I was out of touch yesterday. I was in a dead cell zone for a good portion of the walk, and then where I stayed was up in the woods a little bit, and so I was in a dead cell area there. So I tried to stay in touch as best I could. Right now, I'm in Chambersburg, PA, ready to start day 3. And you may hear some cars in the background. I'm not far off the main road. I tried to do a video a few seconds ago, but the car noise drowned it out, so I'm going to try this again. The publisher had told me when I started this journey that, I'm not going to be able to capture everything on social media, and I had no idea just how accurate that was. The first 2 days have been, it's funny, so I sit down and I journal at nighttime before falling asleep, or the next morning as it was the first night, the day before, and it's just crazy. I start writing, and I just don't stop. It's the people, the experience has been sort of fascinating. And so let me tell you about yesterday a little bit, and it's kind of pretty neat. So I left Gettysburg and was about probably 8 miles into my journey or so, walking down Route 30, and which is the Lincoln Highway, when a car pulled up alongside me, which was the first car that's even stopped. A few have honked or waved, but not much else, not much engagement with passersby. Anyways, the car pulled up alongside me and said, "Hey, you're walking the AT, the Appalachian Trail?" And I said, "No, I'm not, but I am. I'm doing something kind of similar." I'm going to move this over here if I can. I am doing something kind of similar, and I gave him my little card, and he said, "Oh, okay." He said, "Well, I could take you as far as Chambersburg," and I said, "Well, I appreciate that." I'm never terrible with this here. So I appreciate that, but that would kind of defeat the purpose of what I'm doing. I said, "But I'd love to sit down and talk to you a little bit if you had a moment," and there was a place to stop over, just over on the side. So we started talking, and I came to find this gentleman's name was Larry, and a little bit older than me, and he moved down here just 8 weeks ago from New York, where he was a director of maintenance at Bear Mountain State Park for the Parks Department. But he always had this passion about being he just loves the Civil War. He's a Civil War aficionado, and I came to find out something of an expert. And he was talking to me about it, and he's training. He wants to come down here and get certified to be, and I might use the wrong terminology, not park ranger, not tour guide, but whatever those folks are that walk you around and talk intelligently about the park. So I've learned a little bit about him, and he said, "Well, I'll tell you what." He said, "You can stay at my place tonight. I don't have any problem with that. And when you get into Chambersburg," he said, "I have to run up that way later. Come up to Chambersburg. I'll stay in touch. We exchange numbers, and I'll come grab you. We can come back to my place," which was about halfway between, and go from there. So before we did, I'll tell you what, I got an idea. I only live about a mile from here. He lives right off of the other Route 30. Route 30 splits. There's the business and then the residential one. So I live on the other one, just a mile off the road here. He said, if you're coming back tonight, you can drop your backpack off, so you're not walking with that all day, which would certainly be a big help. And I said, that'd be great. So I went to his house, and I was able to take my backpack off. So there's 25 pounds I didn't have to work with. And I went on my way, and about 5 miles outside of Chambersburg, I was getting into the late afternoon, early evening, and he was texting me, and he said, "I'm going to start to head up that way. I wanted to stop at a cigar bar." So we got up to Chambersburg. I met him in Chambersburg, and we went to the cigar bar, which he's like, "Hey, it's air conditioned. You can charge your phones." So I charged my electronics for a little while, gave it a quick hit, and he enjoyed his cigar, and we sat and talked for a little bit more. And he was really itching to tell me about Gettysburg. You could see he was so passionate about it. So he said, "Tell you what, why don't we head back? And I got some other things to take care of, but I'd like to show you Gettysburg." So I actually went back into Gettysburg, which was the first night, and he took me on a tour of the park that was as good as anything I guess people could pay for. I almost feel ignorant to the fact that I have so little knowledge about something so significant. And I mean, he could point out every statue, tell me who it was the First Corps, the Third Corps, what state, where it was, the grave markers. We went to the site basically where Abraham Lincoln gave the address. But I realized something along the way, that when he was on the drive back home, when he was talking to me, I realized that I'm taking this trip to find humanity in people. And as tired as I was and as sore as I was, I realized that we were kind of helping each other this day. I mean, I don't do well with downtime myself. I kind of really do hate being alone. He doesn't seem to be that at all. He seems to cherish it. But I think when you have such a passion about something, such a knowledge, you want to share it with people. So here I was being able to be his student for the day, and I think he really enjoyed that aspect that maybe he wouldn't have had that day. So, as I'm going on this journey, as I'm taking this day with Larry, I'm kind of realizing that, we came together. I don't know how fate, kismet, God, whatever, we probably brought us together on that road for a reason, if just not just for a day. For him to give me a place to stay, and he's a good-natured guy, and for me to give him, some company and an ear to listen to his knowledge and passion. One of the things I thought was kind of unique when we got to his house before going back out to Gettysburg. He asked me a question, and didn't expect it. Kind of caught me off guard, but it was telling, and it kind of leads into something else I want to talk about, on here. So he said, "Hey, let me ask you a question, Jim." He said, "If you were hosting somebody, what would be your house rules?" I thought for a minute. I said, "Well, I'd ask them to treat my house with the same respect I would treat it, and abide by any of my wishes, within reason." And he said, "Okay, well, that's good." He said, "Do you smoke?" And that's a loaded question, especially with the legalization of marijuana these days in so many places. Do you smoke? I didn't know what he was referring to, but I didn't want to guess or judge. So I said, "No, I don't. But I also, if you do, I'm not going to get in your way. I don't judge or tell or anything like that." He says, "No." He said, "That's fine. That's good." He said, "I'm a recovering addict of 32 years. I've been clean and sober 32 years." And he said, "So that would be a deal breaker for me. So as long as that's not a problem, you're welcome to stay." And he said, "In fact, I have a meeting tonight that I would like to go to, but it's a closed meeting, which in the parlance of addicts means that you need to be, you have open meetings, which family members, anybody can go and partake in, and a closed meeting is for those that are afflicted." So I said to him, "Well, look, Larry, I got to be honest with you. I've been to AA meetings before and I've been to my share, so I have no problem, going along with you, and so you don't have to feel like you can't go or anything like that." So after our Gettysburg excursion, got back to his house. I was able to take a hot shower because the shower at Basil's in the morning was cold as hell, and God, did it feel good. I mean, I can't tell you what a hot shower does to your muscles. So I took a hot shower, changed, and then off we went. So the next part of the night, which I thought was so telling too, was the AA meeting. And I don't think I'm talking to the school when I mentioned that he or I went. You don't have his last name, so I don't think I'm telling anything out of school. There's anonymity, I guess, is protected. But the stories, I've said this for years to people. If society could take what happens in those rooms and parlay it into outside society, the world would be a much better place. And simply for two reasons. And I can speak to this firsthand in some of the relationships as to why I'm actually taking this journey. First of all, there's two things that occur inside those rooms on almost every occasion, and it's really beautiful to see in a way. I mean, it's sad sometimes, but it's beautiful at the same time. The two things that happen is, one is you get nearly complete honesty from everybody. And as I said in one of my videos a few weeks ago, our society is based upon people playing pretend. We put on this pretend face, and we go out and we portray this person that we want the world to see us as. And all too often we start to believe our own hype, and we start to think we are that person, as opposed to looking inside ourselves and acknowledging, I'm this, I'm that. None of us are perfect. We all have some issues. Some of us are more broke than others. But in the real world, nobody ever walks around with a sign saying, I'm a narcissist, or I'm a jealous, insecure, or I have an anger problem, or whatever, right? They just exist and point the finger at everybody else and carry and portray their issues out onto the world a lot of times. And that does not happen inside these rooms. And I think the reason it doesn't happen is the second part of this comment is, along with the honesty, nobody there judges you, not for 1 second. You can say a lot of things in those rooms, and those people are there because they see you the way they see themselves. And as such, they put their arms out to you, they'll shake your hand, they'll give you a hug, they'll see your pain, they've been what you've been through or going through. And it's just that simple. And one of the reasons why I think in my lifetime so many people have gravitated towards me and shared things with me they wouldn't share with anybody else is simply that I really don't believe I judge anybody. I'm sure we all do in some way, and I always say Dr. Phil says he's the least judgmental person in the world, but I really do believe I might rival him for that. So And when you're not being judged, you're not afraid to tell people things, and that's what kind of happens with me. That's why strangers will tell me stuff they've never told anybody. And at the same time, I don't want to say punished, but I pay for it myself because I don't judge people. I'm not afraid to put my dirty laundry out there or just be honest with who I am. And then all of a sudden, you find out that somebody told somebody who told somebody, and then rumors are starting or whatever. So it's kind of crazy that way. But anyway, the meeting, there were a couple of points in the meeting that were very emotional. One gentleman's going for a biopsy today to see how his cancer's doing. Another gentleman was talking about his some family members that have been estranged for 12, 13, 14 years, and the one family member who's been pretty difficult, I guess, asked to see the family members kind of one by one and at a certain pace so they could deal with it, and basically just apologize and ask for forgiveness. So as she passed on, the family got a little bit of peace and closure, and were able to love again, and it was touching stuff. So not trying to harp on anything, but I'll tell you what, folks, if any of you ever have an issue, have a problem, feel yourself down, just want a different perspective, I swear to you, I encourage you to go to an open AA meeting and just listen, because you will see some of the most real, honest people in the world. And then and really that was the night. So after that, Larry and I stopped and got himself a hamburger, and we went back to his place. I was wiped. I think he might have even been wanting to talk a little bit more about Gettysburg, I don't know, but I was pretty shot. So this trip has taken its toll on me after day 2. Honestly, my shoulders and my calves hurt more than anything. Nothing else really is bothered. My feet are doing pretty well. Thank God for those Brooks sneakers. They really are amazing. But that's it, guys. So I recorded the Gettysburg Address. I'm going to play that for you a little bit later. I want my kids to listen to that. I have a few other thoughts, but I'm going to get rocking and rolling now. Start the day before the sun gets too high. I do love you. Kira, Grace, Landon, a little Luna. Take care of everybody. Love you guys. Have a great day. I'll keep you updated as we go. Oh, I guess I should say this. So my plan for today is to get me from Chambersburg out to McConnelsville. And I do confess that I'm a little more nervous today than the other days. I've known the area I walked in these last 2 days. They've been close enough to home that I know it. The only thing I know about McConnelsville is it's kind of an interchange over by the turnpike. There's gonna be a lot of mountains, and I really don't know the area that well. So that's gonna be a little bit where I start to get into part of the country I've never seen before or don't even know. So that's of course a little apprehensive. It makes me a little apprehensive. As well, a lot of folks texted me, emailed me, how you doing, keeping my spirits up. I got some shirts I got to get out to folks. Some people offered to help me with the business cards. I will get back to you all today without the service yesterday. I got a little bit behind. So when I take one of my water breaks along the way here, I fully intend to start to respond to those folks. So thank you for caring. Thanks for loving. We're almost to the end of, we're just starting day 3, but as I told my kids yesterday, I think I'm going to get this thing done in about 150 days. It's kind of my goal. And if that's the case, I will have finished day 3 today. So I speak to them later this afternoon today, that'll be 1/5. I'll be 2% done with my trip already. So as weird as that sounds, and 2% doesn't sound like much, 2% has already gone like that. So, I'll be home, with a good story to tell before we even know it. So I will ask you guys this. I keep rattling. I said I was going to stop and keep rattling. Guys, I really get overwhelmed out here trying to respond to everybody, and I'm just working off of the phone. I've got rid of the computer, and so, but if you guys, the thing that will help me the most, people keep saying how they can help me, getting some publicity as I get across the country, little by little, will help me. Whether that's a radio station, whether that's a small newspaper, whether that's a national media program, whatever. So if you're not doing anything, if you can just look up as you hear my journey, hey, I'm heading towards Pittsburgh as an example. I should be in Pittsburgh in the next, 6 to 7 days. If you guys could start, maybe sending emails with my video or my website attached to it to Pittsburgh radio stations, television stations, newspapers, whatever, that will help facilitate as people see me walking across the country, and might make my journey a little bit easier so I'm not sleeping outside if possible. So if people say if they want to help, there's a way you can help me. I know a couple people were doing it pretty aggressively, but I don't want to rely upon just everybody. So again, if you guys could just Google and research what radio stations are out there, what television stations, what local newspapers are here between, Chambersburg, PA, and Pittsburgh, please feel free to let them know I'm on my way. And the more publicity I can get, the easier the public hears about me, and it's a little bit easier for me to get around. So thanks for that. Love you guys. Take care.